Good morning. Our theme in this opening and welcome rites directs us to a very timely topic for our annual conversation, one which is surely of great concern to all of us. The Church amidst the pandemic, proclaiming Christ in the new normal. Thanks to this pastoral directive by no less than our very own beloved Reverend Monsignor Paul Quizan, who chooses to underscore this theme for school year 2020 to 2021, a very defining moment indeed in our human history. As lovers of the Catholic faith and advocates of Christian humanism, it is but not only timely but also very relevant and necessary that we, the Church, who specialize in the mission of Christ, should invest considerable time, passion, initiatives, energy, and creativity in responding to the new challenges of our times posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. As St. Paul points out in his letter to the Ephesians, we hold the very invincible weapon against the forces of alienation and evil, the truth, which is our shield against the flaming arrows of the evil one. No doubt about it, times have changed. It's now the new normal, and that's alarmingly global. The culprit, COVID-19. Even its looks are scary. We cannot agree any less to the notion that the new normal is change that has taken place in our work, at home, and in our social life. Everything has been altered. We got discombobulated by various modes of quarantine restrictions, and most people have found every minute like an hour like a day, and every day like it were forever. COVID-19 has hurled the world into some kind of paranoia, some degree of panic. We needed to switch on to survival mode, if only to keep us not only alive and healthy, but also creatively motivated and productive. On one hand, a lot of people have engaged more and more in healthy lifestyles through diet, exercise, and work-life balance. It's interesting how people are creatively meeting these needs for themselves. On the other hand, we socialize with our friends through Facebook. We draw inspiration from selected YouTube postings. We derive entertainment from the Netflix and the like. That's on a personal or individual note. At large, practically every other country is struggling to deal with the social restrictions and economic insecurity and instability unleashed by the COVID-19 pandemic. As long as there is no cure or vaccine for COVID-19, the whole world cannot but learn to embrace the so-called new normal, which has come to mean, whether we like it or not, a new way of living and going about our lives, work, and interactions amidst the pandemic and lockdowns. And this could be for a very long time, God forbid. There's only one thing certain. Our new normal will keep on changing and changing very quickly. But among the non-negotiables, our new normal would be as follows. We will have to wear face masks outside all the time, with or without a government mandate. It's to keep us alive. So are our work, the school, transport, household chores, businesses, entertainment, and the like going to be different. We are all in this together. But hold on. This sketch of the new normal may not yet be it for the Church. In these video excerpts and footages, we see some glimpse of the whole challenge of the new normal to our Catholic faith.
Kanina, 2 pila. Ito na pinakahuling ticket na i-release namin.
Wala na po, 520.
Anak ko may sakit. Sabi ko, gawa niyo ng paraan.
Sorry, but we cannot sell any more tickets.
The Mayor of Metro Manila.
Mahirap
Hirap na ako.
Mga clinical problems nila, kailangan natin ma-identify.
I love you. Lumaban ka, ma. Malaban ka, please.
Lumabang ka, ha? Lumabang ka, ma.
Ang ating new normal, isang bagong realidad na kailangan nating harapin. Baka hindi pa tayo handa, may mga natatakot, may mga nangangamba, pero kailangan nating magpatuloy. Itong nakaraang mga buwan, parang hindi totoo. Parang isang masamang panaginip na sabay-sabay nating nararanasan.
For those devoted to fighting racism, it's a devastating setback.
Very disturbing, very concerning, and as Canadians, this should not be happening in our community. This is absolutely despicable.
Jamie Liu grew more worried after hearing the U.S. president once again blame China for the devastating coronavirus.
That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus. I can name Kung Flu.
Doesn't give me a lot of hope that we can move past this kind of rhetoric and this misinformation and this complete racist behavior.
These sad and disturbing realities have manifested that mind-boggling shift from the old normal to the emerging new normal, like a raging storm subsiding into some calmness that's still shivering from the threat of a relentless virus. Certainly, the Church is not spared. Indeed, the Church is yet in this world struggling and being confronted by huge waves from all sides of the complex mystery of life and existence. Let's take a look at this.
Your Eminence, this past Sunday, Pope Francis dropped a reference to Hong Kong and a plea for religious freedom there from the text of his public message. Now, in the text, which was given to Vatican journalists before the Angelus address, the Pope planned to comment on Hong Kong and religious freedom. Why do you think the Pope chose not to say anything about the situation in Hong Kong?
I have seen the text, which is very mild, in no way offensive to the Chinese government. But still, I don't know why the Pope abstain from pronouncing those words. But I suppose you know all the conjectures, the guessing of the people. Some say maybe the Holy Father thought that it's better not to say, or some say he may have received some words from the Chinese embassy in Italy, or something like that.
He's a priest of the Diocese of Charleston, South Carolina. He served as an Anglican priest before being ordained into the Catholic Church in 2006. He's also a well-known columnist and blogger. I spoke with Father Dwight Longenecker recently about his new book. It's a timely one. It's called Immortal Combat: Confronting the Heart of Darkness. Take a look. Now, you believe the Church has lost sight of one of its missions, direct confrontation with the devil. How so?
Well, I think that in the modern world, a lot of modernist theologians and priests and prelates are a bit embarrassed by the supernatural aspects of our religion, a bit embarrassed also, I should say, by the cross and the idea of blood sacrifice and so forth. And so over the last 50 or 60 years, they've quietly been putting those things in the sort of ecclesiastical attic and instead producing a faith which is much more about fellowship and happiness and making the world a better place and so forth. But this neglects actually the real streak of darkness and evil that is woven through our hearts and our society. The Church has had a militant aspect to it. And we're not talking about jihadist Muslims who are cutting off heads and blowing people up. We're talking about a spiritual warfare. St. Paul says we do not fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in the high places. So this has been there right from the beginning. But again, in the modern age, we've been embarrassed by this and tried instead to give us a much more easygoing marshmallow kind of religion. And I say now's the time to realize that it's a battle.
We know that the church is not backing down. It's not really our fight, but Christ's. The thing is, we are all called and challenged to collaborate with the mission that our Lord Jesus Christ has entrusted to His church, to proclaim the victory of His resurrection once and for all over the effects of alienation and evil in our distraught world. But how? In the upcoming annual conversation of our beloved IREF community, everybody's invited to participate actively and to contribute substantially. But you can't if you are not present.